They tried to silence him. They erased his name. But he rebuilt from nothing. He fought every algorithm. They tried again and failed. Now he's back, stronger. From blackout to spotlight, he's at the White House, at the top of his game. Franchi lives.
You are about to enter another dimension, the dimension of truth, unfiltered and uncensored. Welcome to the Raw Feed with Gary Franchi.
Welcome to the Raw Feed. I'm Gary Franchi, coming to you live from the heart of America. Unfiltered truth to millions on YouTube. Hit those donation links below. Every contribution powers our gear. Every contribution keeps the party going. Help me help you. Hit those donation links. YouTube channel memberships. Special acknowledgement in the fellowship. Your super chats keep me standing. Your rumble rants fuel every round.
Say hello to super chats.
Spread the intel. Every repost extends our reach.
Super chats fuel this spectacle. Your rumble rants give me strength.
24/7 members-only community, behind-the-scenes discussions.
Connect with fellow patriots.
My mama always said, life is like sharing the truth. Text this stream to your friends. What if I told you the app is real? Download the Next News Network app. Android users, take the Google Play path. iPhone users, App Store awaits.
What is up, America? Who's here? We got Tilly and Jeremy and Rick. People filing in. It's good to see you. Yeah. It's time for the Raw Feed. You guys ready to have some fun tonight? I know I am. And I'm looking forward to talking with you guys tonight. And I'm just getting my bearings here on which page do I want to go to right now. Because The establishment is in full panic mode tonight, and for good reason. I'm Gary Franchi, and this is the Raw Feed. Now, let me tell you something about power and how far they'll go to protect it. We're watching something unprecedented unfold in real time, and the American people deserve to know exactly what is happening behind closed doors. When the most connected political figures in our nation start refusing congressional subpoenas, when security breaches expose vulnerabilities at the highest levels, when fraud networks operate openly in suburban neighborhoods, you know we've reached a breaking point. And speaking of breaking points, let me take you back to a day in history. On January 15th, 1929, that was yesterday, Martin Luther King Jr. was born in Atlanta, Georgia, a man who understood that real change comes from standing up to establish power structures, even when those in charge don't want to hear uncomfortable truths. King never backed down from speaking truth to power, and neither will we. So tonight we're diving deep into the stories the mainstream media either won't touch or deliberately misrepresents. These are not conspiracy theories or partisan talking points. These are documented facts with video evidence, official documents, and whistleblower testimony that should make every American question what is really going on in Washington. First, we have a story that perfectly illustrates how untouchable certain people believe they are. When Congress comes calling with subpoenas regarding Jeffrey Epstein connection, some very powerful figures just sent a message that they consider themselves above the law. We'll read you word for word the letter that has congressional investigators stunned and legal experts questioning whether anyone is truly accountable anymore. But that is just the beginning. While some refuse accountability, others are actually trying to deliver on campaign promises. President Trump just unveiled something called the Great Healthcare Plan. And it's unlike anything that we've seen before. I thought they were going to call it Trump Care personally, but the Great Healthcare Plan, why not? Making healthcare great again. So instead of funneling money through insurance companies and the middlemen, this plan puts cash directly into your hands. You see, the healthcare lobby is going ballistic, which tells you everything you need to know about whether this benefits them or you. Meanwhile, a security apparatus is falling apart from within. We've obtained undercover video showing a Secret Service agent assigned to protect the vice president sharing classified operational details with someone he thought was a romantic interest. Shift schedules, travel routes, real-time locations, all compromised. Now, of course, this is not just embarrassing, it's potentially deadly, and it raises questions. Serious questions about vetting procedures for people protecting our highest officials. And then there's the fraud that's happening right under our noses in places like suburban Texas. Citizen journalists are exposing entire networks of fake companies operating out of single-family homes, somehow managing to secure dozens of high-paying H-1B visas for workers who may not even exist. We're talking about approved salaries exceeding $100,000 annually, all traced back to houses that look like they belong in a family neighborhood, not a corporate headquarters. And finally, we're going to show you what happens when federal immigration enforcement actually tries to do its job. In Minneapolis, protesters didn't just march, they broke into federal vehicles and stole weapons and ammunition. I think they've crossed the line. That's no longer civil disobedience. That's armed insurrection. Remember that word? And the FBI is now hunting for suspects who thought that stealing rifles from law enforcement was somehow justified resistance. You see, each of these stories connects to a larger pattern that should concern every American regardless of political affiliation. We're seeing the complete breakdown of institutional norms, from congressional testimony to security protocols to basic law and order. Yeah, some people operate by different rules while others face maximum enforcement for minor infractions. So what makes tonight's show different? It's the evidence. So we're not speculating or offering opinions disguised as analysis. We have the documents. the video footage, the official statements, and the whistleblower accounts that paint a picture that mainstream outlets refuse to show you. The question isn't whether these things are happening. The evidence is overwhelming. The question is what Americans will do with this information once they see it clearly. So stay with us as we break down exactly what your government does not want you to know. This is the Raw Feed, where truth matters more than access. And let's welcome you to the show. Who do we have here in the house tonight? Let's check in with our chat room. Thank you, Brian. So we got Cameron in red, white, and blue, Bill's Rules, Santa Gonzalez, ITMT, James Fay, Pothead Kitty. What up, man? Who else? The intro's too long, says MSDS. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, try to be me for a day. Maybe you'll know why I need to have a long intro. All right? Anyway. Karen says, Raw Feed, clap, clap. Hi from Pennsylvania. Gary, what's up, James? Jeremy. Dave the Patriot. No need for the Insurrection Act yet. I'd like to remind you that your IS military deserves better enemies to fight, not just pansies. What's up, Truthy? What's up, Rick? Blue Eyes, Adams, clickety clickety. Yeah. Insurrection coming. We got a lot of news to unpack, and I'm not going to sit here and waste any more time because we are behind schedule. We have been all week. That's because we're bringing some new systems online. And they take a lot of work to get them firing on all cylinders. So I want to get started with our first topic. Gary, I've watched you for so long, and you have never changed. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you so much. So we're going to begin in a moment here because the Clintons are at it again. Bill and Hillary Clinton just sent Congress a scathing letter telling House Oversight Chair James Comer to pound sand. They're flat out refusing to testify about their connections to Jeffrey Epstein despite being legally subpoenaed. The power couple is essentially saying we are above the law. But Congress isn't backing down. What happens when unstoppable force meets an immovable object? We're going to find out because this is not just political theater. It's a constitutional crisis in the making. When former presidents and secretaries of state can simply ignore congressional subpoenas, what does that say about equal justice under the law? Well, for you and me, ignoring a subpoena means jail time. But apparently the Clintons think different. Rules apply to them. The House is now moving to hold both Bill and Hillary in contempt of Congress, something that could result in criminal referrals. Now, even Democrats who promise transparency on Epstein files are mysteriously going silent when it comes to their own party's power players. This sets a very dangerous precedent. If the Clintons can defy Congress, who else will follow suit? Before we dive deeper into this constitutional showdown, let me tell you about something that's really important about protecting your wealth in these uncertain times. You see, if you're over 40 and planning to retire someday, the window to protect what you've built may be smaller than you realize. Here's a question that most people never ask. Is your portfolio built for what's coming next? Many investors in their 40s and 50s discovered they have little to no exposure to precious metals. That means that their savings are largely tied to markets, policies, and paper assets with very little protection if conditions change. As retirement moves from someday to on the horizon, protecting what you've already built becomes just as important as growing it, and that's where Noble Gold Investments comes in. They will help investors reduce risk by adding physical gold to their portfolios, and right now might be a smart time to talk with Noble Gold Investments. No pressure set, no sales gimmicks, just clear answers and a strategy built around your goals. Visit nextnewsgold.com and build your portfolio for the long term. That's nextnewsgold.com. Or that number on the screen. We thank them for their sponsorship of this program, especially with the price of gold right now, right? Price of silver, have you checked? Keep an eye out this weekend. We'll have an interview exclusive with Colin you do not want to miss. Now back to the Clintons' brazen defiance of congressional authority. That's right. Here's what makes this even more explosive. Just 3 days ago, Democrat Robert Garcia was on camera demanding transparency. Demanding transparency on the Epstein files, claiming that there's a White House cover-up. He promised Democrats, we're working every single day to get the truth. But when it came time for the Clinton depositions, Garcia was a complete no-show. The hypocrisy is staggering, but not surprising. Democrats want Epstein truth until it involves their own. The Clintons defy subpoenas in the Jeffrey Epstein investigation is the big headline. The House Oversight Committee, our friend James Comer, this is what he posted not too long ago. You may have seen it. Exclusive. Watch Hillary Clinton's empty chair deposition after she refused to appear. That's how they do it. Just like her husband, Secretary Clinton, is defying our duly authorized congressional subpoena, we are initiating contempt of Congress proceedings for both.
We'll go on the record. Good morning. We'll go on the record. Good morning. This is a deposition of former Secretary Hillary R. Clinton conducted by the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. On July 23, 2025, the Subcommittee on Federal Law Enforcement unanimously voted to approve a motion directing the committee to authorize and issue a subpoena to former Secretary Clinton for a deposition. I'm going to note for the record that former Secretary Clinton is not present. The time is 10:05. We are going to mark items for the record. We will mark as Exhibit 1 a cover letter from Chairman Comer dated August 5th, 2025, enclosing the deposition subpoena and email confirmation from former Secretary Clinton's attorney, David Kendall, accepting the letter and the subpoena. We will mark as Exhibit 7 the deposition notice issued by the committee on December 12th, 2025. We will mark as Exhibit 8 a letter dated December 15th, 2025 from Chair.
Does this make you furious? They are proceeding with the entire deposition of Hillary Clinton to an open and empty room. An empty chair. Her placard is sitting right in front of where she's supposed to be sitting. This is the mark of arrogance, elitism. If there was ever an instance where you needed to believe that somebody was above the law, you needed the evidence, you're one of those doubting Thomases, perhaps? Well, here it is. Here it is. This is the moment. Hillary Clinton's empty chair. And they're going through the procedure that's required because they're getting it on the record. The GOP's bombshell announcement about empty chairs sets up our next source, highlighting what survivors are really waiting for. Amber speaks up. The Epstein files are now 26 days overdue, and they're still denying survivors the transparency they've waited decades for. Survivors are demanding transparency. The political machinery is cranking in a high gear with criminal contempt proceedings. Breitbart News. James Comer moves to hold Hillary Clinton in criminal contempt for defying a legal subpoena about Jeffrey Epstein.
Do you have any idea of timing of when this might hit the House floor? And will both these advance
Yes. When will this hit the House floor? We're going to vote on it in committee Wednesday, so we're giving plenty of notice. We're having a markup, a regularly scheduled markup for the House Oversight Committee. We will mark up criminal contempt of Congress charges for both Clintons for defying a legal subpoena. Once it passes the committee, then it will go to the full House floor for a vote. They have to notice it 3 days and all that.
It's going to go to the whole House floor. They're going to hold her in contempt. It's going to get out of committee. And then they're going to go to the House floor. Oh, that's going to be fun to watch. How do you think the line? That's going to be the true test. That's going to be the line. Of course, it's going to be drawn down party lines. That's how these things work. Thankfully, we still have a majority. And that's why it's important that we we win in 2026, in this year. The midterms are upon us, my friends. There's no time to sit back and wait. Oh, it's just the midterms. Everything's riding on the midterms. You want to see more impeachment proceedings? I don't think so. The criminal contempt announcement triggers immediate pushback from Republicans drawing stark comparisons to recent precedents. Tim Burchett, Hillary, and Hillary Clinton, no show. When I reminded the press Steve Bannon and Bannon's war room and Real Navarro were in prison, they put their cameras down. Of course they did. They don't want people to be reminded of that fact. Bannon and Navarro perp walked for contempt of Congress, sitting in a cell. We remember those days. I remember reporting on it. Here we have exact same situation. I remember seeing the video of Bannon being paraded through the halls. It was a shocking sight to see. And Navarro getting released from prison. I mean, the Clintons? Disgusting.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett just left we're trying to, they subpoenaed Bill and Hillary Clinton on the Epstein situation. Of course, they no-showed. My buddy Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro didn't show up, and they got sent to prison. That's a double standard. And I'll tell you, the bigger double standard is when I mentioned that in the press conference. I wish we'd had it on film, but the press just put their cameras down immediately when I said that. I looked across the front row, 3 or 4 of them right like that. It's these cards are very much stacked against us and justice. And the Clintons, of course, they thumb their nose at justice because they're allowed to. They've been allowed to since they were in Arkansas, and they're going to continue to do it. And it's really a shame that that's the pinnacle of success for the Democrat Party, really, is that bunch. But that's what we're dealing with. And of course, they had a paid agitator out there yelling at us during this thing and during the press conference, and just pathetic, really. But that's where the left is right now. Thank y'all for sending me here.
That's where the left is right now. Thank you for sending me. Thank you for representing the people, sir. Thank you for speaking truth. Tim Burchett's media observation leads us to examine the specific evidence that makes the case so politically explosive. Clinton's defying the subpoenas to testify because Bill took 26 trips on Epstein's airplane so he could be an expert on the Epstein subject. Of course he is. The flight logs revelation segues perfectly to the committee's formal next steps. Next Wednesday, the committee will vote on the resolutions to hold Bill and Hillary in contempt. Then it goes to the full House and over to the DOJ. Comer, I know how Merrick Garland handled Navarro and Bannon, and I would hope that they would try to go. Here he is with Laura Ingraham.
They did not come in. They've been very combative. We're going to hold them in contempt in the House Oversight Committee on Wednesday. And then the following week, when we're in session, the full House will vote on it. I fully expect every Republican to vote for it. And I think we might even get some Democrats. And then that'll be turned over to the Department of Justice, and Pam Bondi and the Trump Department of Justice can handle that however they want. I know how Merrick Garland handled Navarro and Bannon, and I would hope that they would try to go that same route.
I hope they would go that same route. I just, it's going to be a circus. There's no question about it. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm so looking forward to it. The committee's procedural roadmap sets up pointed questions about what specifically the Clintons might be avoiding. Why is the subpoena Bill Clinton refusing to show up for his deposition, says the unknown. Something to hide about Rachel Chandler and Shantae Davies, or his good friend Prince Andrew? Of course, these are questions about Clinton's connections to the broader connections of what he's been doing. Another, Representative Andy Biggs, Bill Clinton, didn't show up for his deposition. In GOP oversight this morning, what is he hiding? These are the reactions after the empty chair episode.
Hi, Andy Biggs here. Just walked out of the Oversight Committee deposition scheduled for former President Clinton. He chose not to come today. We issued a bipartisan subpoena. Every Democrat and every Republican on that committee voted to have him come in and testify before us in a deposition just to answer questions because of the frequency that Jeffrey Epstein visited the White House when Clinton was the president and also his flights. But they chose not to come after the months and months of trying to accommodate them and a bipartisan subpoena. So we hope that they'll respond to the contempt citation, which will be voted on next week.
Are they going to respond to the contempt citation? No. What difference does it make? Remember? Republican pressure is building as we see the scope expanding from Bill to Hillary in parallel proceedings. So it's like partners in crime. Newsmax reporting. In contempt, House Oversight Chair Comer says his committee will move to hold Hillary in contempt after she skipped a scheduled deposition in its Epstein probe one day after he announced the same proceedings against former President Bill Clinton. House panel moving to hold Hillary Clinton in contempt. Lock her up! Lock her up. Say it with me. Lock her up. Say it with me. Lock her up. Lock her up. Remember saying that at the rallies? Maybe we'll finally get that dream, that wish. You can only wish so much, right? Maybe the Wicked Witch will finally see her orange jumpsuit. She'll get the Navarro treatment and the Bannon treatment, right? Ugh. Contempt proceeding announcements collide with Democrat hypocrisy as their own members expose the contradiction. Chicago One Ray. 3 days ago, Robert Garcia said, there's a cover-up by the White House of the Epstein files. That's what Garcia said. We're working every day to get the truth on the Epstein files. And of course, today he was a no-show, along with the rest of the Democrats for Clinton's deposition. This video didn't age very well.
We know, Trump's name and certain photos have been removed, added back. There is clearly a cover-up being directed by the White House here. Mm-hmm. There is no question about that. We've got to continue the pressure, one, on the legal front. We're working right now to get, hopefully, a federal special...
There's a cover-up, everybody! There's a cover-up! Somebody knows something, and they're not talking about it. His name is Bill Clinton. Hillary Clinton. That's the cover-up. Oh, but everyone look over here at the White House. We found these pictures of Donald Trump at public events at Mar-a-Lago where Jeffrey Epstein was creeping around. And this guy has the audacity.
Master to oversee some of the documentation. Ro Khanna, of course, an oversight committee member, is leading on that with Tom Massey. We have efforts to get Pam Bondi in front right now of the oversight committee, and we're forcing additional information. We're going
to force her in front of the oversight committee, but we're not going to force the Clintons. No.
Force new subpoenas on Republicans just this week for critical members of Epstein's inner circle that is going to also produce additional information. So the work's not stopping. We're working every single day to get the truth on the Epstein files, and they're going to get released to the public.
Frazzle drip. Democrat no-shows and contradictions set the stage for the Clintons' own defiant response to mounting pressure. Radar Online even reporting it, too. Bill and Hillary have lashed out at the House Oversight Chair James Comer, firing off a heated letter to the Kentucky Republican and defiantly refusing to appear for a deposition about disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, yes. Read word for word the letter Bill and Hillary Clinton sent Congress. Can we read it? Let's go. Okay, what is all this? We don't want all these pop-ups. Bill and Hillary Clinton have lashed out at House Oversight Chair James Comer, firing off a heated letter to finally refuse to appear. Radar Online can reveal. After months of delays and rescheduled subpoenas, the Clintons were due to finally spill their secrets this week. In their over 1,200-word letter, probably written by ChatGPT, signed jointly, the Clintons exclaimed, "Every person has to decide when they have seen or had enough and are ready to fight for this country, its principles, and its people, no matter the consequences. For us, now is that time." Really? You're rising up to fight for this country? This is the moment. This is the hill you're going to die on. The power couple accusing Comer of hindering the Epstein investigation by focusing on a personal grudge he seems to have against them. Really? It's about a grudge? Sure. More deflection. The facts speak for themselves. You subpoenaed 8 people in addition to us. You dismissed 7 of those 8 without any of them saying a single word to you. You made no attempt to force them to appear. In fact, since you started your investigation last year, you have interviewed a total of 2 people. 2! That's according to the letter. Partisan politics at play, that's what they say. This is the letter. You're seeing it here. Source, PresidentClinton.com. Clearly fed up, the former leaders then turned the tables on Comer and even the government itself. We have tried to give you the little information that we have. We have done so because Mr. Epstein's crimes were horrific. What was Bill doing on those planes? What was he doing in those hot tubs? In those nice, steamy indoor pools? Those island retreats? Massages? Cigars? The perfect environment. The perfect environment for Bill Clinton. We know how much he loved those things, right? We've seen the pictures too. We've tried to give you what little information that we have. The crimes were so horrific. If the government didn't do it all it could to investigate and prosecute these crimes for whatever reason, that should be the focus of your work. To learn why and to prevent that from ever happening again. Yeah, that's what they're trying to freaking do. To learn why you guys were there. They want to know the extent of it. Because, Jeffrey Epstein didn't Epstein himself. So they can't ask him. They've already gone after Ghislaine. She's singing. She's getting favors. But you can't trust her. These pop-ups are killing me. We've done so because the crimes were horrific. If the government didn't do it all, blah, blah, blah. Instead, you've forced the victims to relive their painful experiences while doing little to give them and everyone else what's deserved. Truth and justice. There's no plausible explanation for what you are doing other than part of the politics. I can hear Hillary's voice. I can hear it. It's the contradictions, the hypocrisy in every single word of this letter is astounding. The arrogance of these people. Yeah. So it goes on and on. We can keep going with this Radar Online thing here. But the fact of the matter is that it ain't going away. It's not stopping. And we're going to be tracking every single minute of it. I can't wait to see this, the committee and then the vote. Oh, get ready for the circus. So the Clintons' letter that I just read for you to Chairman Comer reportedly says the facts speak for themselves, but they're refusing to let Congress hear those facts under oath. If you have nothing to hide about Jeffrey Epstein, why fight a subpoena? Their defiance screams guilt louder than any testimony ever could, and empty chairs tell their own story. This is about more than just the Clintons or even Jeffrey Epstein. This is about whether we have one system of justice for the powerful and another for everyone else. When subpoenas become suggestions for the political elite, our republic dies. Congress must follow through on contempt charges and criminal referrals, or this precedent will destroy congressional oversight forever. The Clintons are betting they're untouchable, and frankly, based on their track record, they might be right. But maybe, just maybe, this time will be different. So do you think the Clintons will face real consequences for defying Congress? Let me know your thoughts. And while you're engaging, check out the Next News merch shop for gear that shows you are not afraid to demand accountability from our so-called leaders. Man, I'm going to get over this cold. I can't stand colds. Let's see. What? That's strange. Okay. Let me just check our dashboard. And everything seems to be functioning as it should. But of course, you know, computers are going to do the computer thing. So while the computers do the computer thing, I'm going to check on Super Chats. And I'm going to see what you guys are saying. Whoa, look at this. Do you hashtag N3 clear for launch? Take us into orbit. $10. Another $10 from ITMT. And then James Fay dropping $2 as well. Hello, N3 Patriots, he says. Dave the Patriot back again with $5. We need to search for Haitian migrant fraud tied to Clintons. I bet there's something there. Well, people have been talking about that forever. The Haitian money, the crimes, all that stuff. Who knows? That's another one they got away with. And they'll probably get away with this, but it's going to be the ultimate test because now they have to go into the whole committee is going to have to vote. That's going to be a real test. And it's good, like I said, it's gonna be fireworks because you're gonna see where people's votes are. That's gonna be the exciting part. So we'll have like real-time data to look at and go, this person voted, this person didn't. You'll the lines of the I guess, you know, we call it the two-tier justice system. Well, we're going to see where those tiers are. That's my point. Okay, we're going to get into our next topic in just a second here. And let me just do a quick health check on this. Okay. I'm excited for this. I'm excited for this next topic because this is a really really groundbreaking when it all comes together. When you think about Obamacare and the disaster that Obamacare was, this is going to change the game, and I think Obama's probably going to be pissed. Well, they're already trying to gut Obamacare. Yeah, let's see here. We're going to click that right there. Okay. So when I'm excited to learn more about this, to be truly honest with you. I got to type in this one thing here, and we're going to get moving. Let's see here. Okay. All right, Brian, let me get this next thing loaded up and we can begin. Oh, is it another one here? Dude, your hashtag's back. Life solitary confinement for Bill and Hillary are the ultimate penalty for treason for both. They're going to add everyone to the mysterious death list. There's no such thing. No such thing. All right. Let's continue. President Trump just unveiled what he's calling the Great Healthcare Plan, and it's about to blow up the entire medical establishment. Instead of funneling billions to insurance giants, he wants to cut out the middlemen and send the money directly to you. The pharmaceutical lobby is probably in full panic mode right now, and you're about to see why. You see, this is not just another campaign promise. This is a direct assault on the most profitable industry in America. Under Trump's plan, you would get the same drug prices that Europeans pay, which are often 70% cheaper than what Americans are shelling out. Insurance companies would lose billions in taxpayer subsidies that currently pad their profits. The MAHA movement is backing this hard, which means that RFK Jr.'s health revolution just got a massive boost. But here is what nobody's talking about. If this passes, it completely reshapes American healthcare forever. No more being held hostage by your employer's insurance plan. No more rationing insulin because you can't afford it. Of course, the establishment's going to fight this tooth and nail because their entire business model depends on keeping you dependent on their system and keeping you sick. And speaking of things the establishment does not want you to know about, we got some breaking news because we need to talk about a metal that most people never think about. But governments and defense contractors think about it every day. Now, I've spent years focused on gold and silver, but the opportunity that really caught my attention sits one layer deeper in critical minerals, and one metal in particular is called titanium. That's what my wedding ring is partially made of. Now, while everyone is distracted by healthcare battles, smart money is quietly positioning in the materials that power our national defense infrastructure. SAGA Metals is mining these strategic resources that America desperately needs. And just like Trump is cutting out healthcare middlemen, maybe it's time to cut out the Wall Street middlemen too. You can get their full briefing linked below. But here's the kicker. You see, Trump says he's got other countries to agree to this thing using tariffs. That means he's already been working the diplomatic channels behind the scenes. Now, the most favored nation pricing that presidents have tried to implement for years, he claims it's already locked and loaded. And notice how the press secretary called this the most comprehensive and bold agenda ever considered. Really? The most comprehensive and bold agenda ever? Because another one? Every day I'm hit with another historic and bold agenda from this administration, and I'm loving every minute of it. Because I'm finally seeing a president who's got some freaking balls to do something. I mean, the guy just went after the Federal Reserve Chair with a criminal indictment. What? Yeah, let's friggin' go. Let's go after Big Pharma. Oh, yeah, by the way, Bill and Hillary being held in contempt. Look, the deep state's freaking out. No small ball here. Now, let's look at this. Roger Marshall talking about the Kansas dairy farmers. Milk does a body good, right? Remember those commercials? Well, Roger Marshall of Maryland, he's quite happy.
Mr. President, thank you so much for having us here on behalf of Kansas dairy farmers. Thank you. Milk is the most wholesome, nutritious drink known to humankind. Not only is it full of essential nutrients, it's full of healthy fats as well as protein. As Dr. Carson pointed out, those healthy fats are what helps that brain develop and help you absorb the fat-soluble vitamins. The protein is why you drink milk and you're not hungry again in 30 minutes. And I have to point out that under the previous couple administrations ago, thanks to them, we have a whole generation of young adults who have osteopenia and osteoporosis because they never drank milk for an entire generation. So getting milk back in the schools is going to give us healthy bones and healthy minds. It sticks to your ribs and it tastes great.
Oh, I love milk. It does a body good. Oh, man. You should have seen our house growing up. My mother could not keep the milk in the fridge. She would go through gallons. She'd go to the grocery store, we'd call it the milk store. My mother was very frugal, God rest her soul. She would go there and she'd buy four gallons of milk. Me and my 4 brothers would just drink that stuff down. Now, this is the praise from Senator Marshall setting up the president's own announcement about signing milk legislation into law. It's about milk, guys. Listen up. I mean, who can make milk great again? There's only one guy.
Today, I'm delighted to sign the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act into law, which is a very important thing for our farmers, and I think maybe more important for our people, the people that drink milk. This is the first bill signing of the new year, and it will ensure that millions of school-aged children have access to high-quality milk as we make America healthy again. I want to thank Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins, who's behind me, Secretary of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Senators John Boozman and Mike Crapo, Roger Marshall, Peter Welch, as well as Representative G.T. Thompson and Tim Walberg, all great people. Also with us today is USDA National Nutrition Advisor Dr. Ben Carson, my friend for a long time. We went head-to-head, and it was not easy going head-to-head with Ben. He's great. He still looks good. That's because he drinks a lot of milk. And some of our nation's wonderful dairy farmers and their children, they're going to be farmers for a long time, we hope. As it currently stands, schools participating in the National School Lunch Program are only able to offer students low or non-fat milk options. That was changed during the Obama administration. A lot of people disagreed with it at the time. With this legislation, schools will finally be able to expand their offerings to include nutritious whole milk.
I love whole milk.
It's actually a legal definition, whole milk. And it's whole with a W for those of you that have a problem. Most of the media will get that.
Of course, the jab of the media, the president cannot resist. Signing ceremony leads directly into the health secretary explaining how this reverses Obama-era policies. Secretary Rollins.
Thank you, and what a joy and an honor it is to be here. I feel like I have the best job in the world with representing all of these farmers, and Mr. President, not in our lifetime, has been a president who loves and supports our farmers more, and certainly the dairy farmers. I want to thank all of our farmers here today, sir. Most of them are 5th and 6th generation. They represent states from all across our country, and bringing the children to and seeing what the next generation of dairy farmers looks like. The amazing thing is some of these farmers back here from Butler, Pennsylvania, He milks
Where?
Butler, Pennsylvania.
I love Butler. I do.
Yeah, and they love you. They love you. But he milks about 40 to 60 cows. And then we have Jamie from Wisconsin who milks about 5,000 cows. So they represent all across the spectrum.
Wow.
And what this means. And I think it's important to note that in the last year, your support for these American farmers, for rural America. The One Big Beautiful bill was the largest investment in rural America in history. I think that's important to note. The trade, and I see my friend Jameson Greer over there and Howard Lutnick on this end, we've opened up more than 24 different markets. Milk exports, dairy exports are up 23% just in the last year. And when you think about the ag deficit that happened under Joe Biden and the 4 years, we went from a surplus of agriculture products when we left the first time to a $50 billion deficit when we came back.
Yep.
So these are massive, massive wins for America, and I think it's important to note that. I also want to note, and you said it as well, that over a decade ago, Michelle Obama, in this very room, made an announcement on a short-sighted campaign to ditch the whole milk in schools, and that's what we're working to fix today. Last week, Bobby Kennedy and Ben Carson and Dr. Oz and the whole crew, sir, announced the Dietary Guidelines for Americans 2025 to 2030, which also reintroduced full-fat dairy into a healthy diet. And today, by signing this bill, Senator Marshall and Congressman Thompson and both, all the wonderful men to the right who worked so hard on this, Peter Welch, it is a bipartisan issue, and understanding where we are in this country and how important the health of certainly our children are is so important. USDA is posting today the guidance. So we're signing the bill, and USDA, we're moving at Trump time, is posting today the new rulemaking that is necessary to get whole milk back into school lunches. So that's a really, really big deal.
So how long will that take?
It should just take a few weeks, and then the milk starts moving in. So it's a big announcement, sir, for our schools and our children. And I know Secretary Kennedy will talk a little bit about the health issues, so I won't do that. I'll skip over that. You mentioned, and the last thing I'll say, I know we're here to sign the bill on whole milk, but Senator Crapo's work and our wonderful friend Doug LaMalfa, who we lost way too soon.
Right.
Their work on securing Rural Schools Reauthorization Act, how important that too is for rural America. 700 eligible rural counties across the nation are now guaranteed funds for schools and roads and infrastructure. So, sir, you say it all the time. Those are your people. They voted for you and with us and saw your vision from the beginning. This is who we're here to support today, in addition to the whole milk for healthy schools, which will help all children. Just remember, eat real food and drink whole milk. What a joy again it is to be here, and I especially want to thank all of our incredible farmers for what you do.
Thanking the farmers. Milk does a body good. Secretary Rollins pivots from policy criticism to showing concrete economic results. Here she is more with the chart.
How are we
This
doing
is what you should expect. This is what's coming next.
with food prices, bringing them down?
Yes, sir. Well, I'm glad you asked, because I brought a chart, and that just happened to be right behind me. So speaking of milk, milk is actually way down, and I know we're here to talk about that today. Obviously,
44%.
That's right, sir.
44% down. Milk, 44% down.
Eggs is way down. Milk is way down. This is just since we took office, sir. Fresh whole chicken down 2%, cheese down, tomatoes down, butter down. Of course, eggs are way down. Potatoes down almost 3%, fresh fruits down almost 3%. But this is just the beginning. And as we continue to bring the cost of farming down, bring the cost of inputs down, open up the markets, support our farmers, we'll see even more affordability moving forward.
And eggs are down 31%, so that's really something.
Eggs are down 31%. Did you hear that? The food price charts demonstrating the flows into Trump's, explaining the broader consumer-friendly changes in the legislation. Here is the president talking about, remember that food pyramid story we did?
This is the perfect follow-up to the new real food pyramid, and Secretary Kennedy and Secretary Rollins announced that last week. You probably heard. This legislation also allows parents to directly request a substitute for milk for children with dairy intolerance. Previously, parents were required to submit a written statement from a doctor, but we're eliminating that rather ridiculous policy, allowing parents to choose what is best for their child, which is a big move. Hard to believe that that would be a big thing, but it is. And of course, these changes will be major victories for the American dairy farmers, who we love and who voted for me in great numbers, I will say. I think I got every one of them. In December, I also signed the Secure Rural Schools Reauthorization Act, and I'm proud to say that these two pieces of legislation will give school-age children across the country the resources and support that they need, not just to succeed, but really to thrive in life and later on in life.
They are going to thrive. All of America is going to thrive. We are going to be a healthy nation again. Trump's detailed policy explanation builds towards the massive healthcare announcement that's about to break. President Trump unveils the great healthcare plan to lower costs and deliver money directly to the American people. Buckle up.
Today, I'm thrilled to announce my plan to lower healthcare prices for all Americans and truly make healthcare affordable again. We're doing things that nobody's ever been able to do. We're calling it the Great Healthcare Plan. Instead of putting the needs of big corporations and special interests first, our plan finally puts you first and puts more money in your pocket. The government is going to pay the money directly to you. It goes to you, and then you take the money and buy your own health care. Nobody's ever heard of that before, and that's the way it is. The big insurance companies lose, and the people of our country win. This proposal locks in the massive discounts on prescription drugs that my administration is achieving through our most favored nation drug pricing agreement. Now, when you hear about that, for 40 years they've been trying to do it, but they never were able to do it. No other president was able to do it. I got every other country to approve it by the use of tariffs and other things. They all approved it. Nobody else got it. No other president got it. And for the most part, they didn't even try because they felt it was impossible. It'll bring down drug prices 80, 90%, in some cases, just numbers that nobody's ever heard of before. Your prescription drugs will come way, way down. And under this policy, the prices of many drugs will be slashed by 300, 400, and even 500% starting this month at the TrumpRx.gov. So instead of Americans paying the highest drug prices in the world, which we have for decades, we will now be paying the lowest cost paid by any other nation. So any other nation that's paying the lowest cost, that's what we're going to pay. And the American people will get the savings. So I have to reiterate, the lowest price in the world is what you're going to pay. Before, you were paying the highest price in the world by far, and the politicians did nothing about it. So I'm asking Congress to complete the work that we've started. Next, my plan would reduce your insurance premiums by stopping government payoffs to big insurance companies and sending that money directly to the people. Obamacare was designed to make insurance companies rich. I call it the Unaffordable Care Act, with billions of dollars in taxpayer subsidies that helped their stock prices skyrocket over 1,700% as you paid more money for health care every single year, more and more. The premiums went higher and higher. I want to end this flagrant scam and put extra money straight into the healthcare savings account in your name, and you go out and buy your own healthcare, and you'll make a great deal. You get better healthcare for less money. That way you can choose the care that is right for your family. To further reduce insurance premiums, my plan ends the giant kickbacks to insurance brokers and corporate middlemen that only drive up the costs, and that's what they're intended to do, drive up the costs. But we're driving down the costs. And it fully funds a long neglected part of the law known as the Cost Sharing Reduction Program. This measure alone should cut premiums on the most popular Obamacare plans. It's hard to believe there are any because it's a hated program. It's unaffordable, but it's going to cut them by an average of 10 to 15%. Next, the Great Healthcare Plan. That's the name. It's called the Great Healthcare because it's great healthcare at a lower price. Mandates unprecedented accountability and transparency from insurance companies and all healthcare providers so that special interests can no longer profiteer at your expense. As the saying goes, sunlight is the best disinfectant. That is why my plan orders all insurance companies to publish rate and coverage comparisons in very plain English. It requires insurers to publish detailed information about how much of your money they're going to be paying out in claims versus how much they're taking in profits. In other words, you will be able to watch the scam. It forces them to release detailed data on how many claims are being denied and whether those denials are eventually overturned on appeal. And most importantly, it will require any hospital or insurer who accepts Medicare or Medicaid to prominently post all prices at their place of business so that you are never surprised and you can easily shop for a better deal or better care. And you're going to end up doing both. You're going to get a better deal and better care. We will have maximum price transparency and costs will come down incredibly. I'm calling on Congress to pass this framework into law without delay. Have to do it right now so that we can get immediate relief to the American people, the people I love. Thank you very much.
The people I love. Man, God bless this guy. God bless him and his whole administration. They're putting us first. This is the breaking news. Introducing the comprehensive plan. We're about to break down piece by piece, lowering insurance premiums. Stop sending big insurance companies billions in extra taxpayer-funded subsidy payments, instead sending that money directly to eligible Americans, allow them to buy the health insurance of their choice. The insurance premium details sets up an equally important drug pricing component, lowering drug prices, codifying the Trump administration most favored nation deals to get Americans the same low prices for prescription drugs that people in other countries pay. The drug price reforms combined with the insurance changes to create what the press secretary calls a historic plan. Our cameras were there today in the press room. Let's go to that moment.
This morning, President Trump unveiled a health care plan for America called the Great Health Care Plan, and a video message detailing his solutions to lower costs for all Americans and significantly improve our health care system. The Great Health Care Plan will accomplish this through 4 common sense pillars. Number 1, permanently lowering prescription drug prices. Congress can get this done by codifying President Trump's historic most favored nation initiatives into law to guarantee Americans the same low prices for prescription drugs that people in other countries around the world pay. Additionally, by increasing consumer choice by making more verified, safe pharmaceutical drugs available for over-the-counter purchases. Number 2, the Great Health Care Plan will stop sending big insurance companies billions in extra taxpayer-funded subsidy payments and instead send that money directly to eligible Americans to allow them to buy the health insurance of their choice. Additionally, by funding a cost-sharing reduction program for healthcare plans and ending kickbacks from pharmacy benefit managers to large brokerage middlemen. Number 3, the Great Healthcare Plan will maximize price transparency by requiring any healthcare provider or insurer who accepts either Medicare or Medicaid to publicly and prominently post their pricing and fees to avoid surprise medical bills. This is an incredibly popular policy that has been bipartisan for many years, and President Trump is officially and firmly calling on Congress to get it done. And number 4, holds big insurance companies accountable by requiring them to publish rate and coverage comparisons up front on their websites in plain English so consumers and everyday Americans can make the best purchasing decisions for them and their families. These are common sense actions that make up President Trump's Great Healthcare Plan, and they represent the most comprehensive and bold agenda to lower healthcare costs to have ever been considered by the federal government. Congress should immediately take up President Trump's plan and pass it into law. For Americans watching at home, you can visit greathealthcare.gov right now for more information on the Great Healthcare Plan.
Greathealthcare.gov. That's the website. We're going to get hats now that says make healthcare great again. The press secretary's claims about his plan lead her to explain exactly how the money will flow? Let's go. Check it out.
So this is the second principle in the president's health care plan, lowering insurance premiums specifically and ensuring that that money is going directly back to the American people and cutting the kickbacks that then raise those premiums. So this plan, once put into legislative text and passed by Congress and sent to the president's desk, will stop sending big insurance companies billions of an extra taxpayer-funded subsidy payments and instead send that money directly to eligible Americans to allow them to buy the health insurance of their choice through, you may have heard it be referred to as health savings accounts. Whether that ends up being the actual name of such accounts, we'll have to see. Again, Congress and the White House are going to work together to put this plan into action. And then secondly, the Great Healthcare Plan will fund a cost-sharing reduction program for healthcare plans, which will save taxpayers at least $36 billion and reduce the most common Obamacare plan premiums by over 10%. And that's according to the Congressional Budget Office.
Yeah, let's go. You want to talk about, we're gonna lock down the government until you figure out this whole subsidies thing. Looks like Trump had a plan all along, didn't he? The direct payment explanation builds to the press secretary's final promise about universal cost savings.
If this plan is put in place, every single American who has health care in the United States will see lower costs as a result. They will see more transparency. All of these proposals that are within the Great Healthcare Plan are incredibly popular with the American people, and they will impact everyone, not just a small fraction of those who are within the healthcare marketplace, but every single American will continue to see their costs go down. And I will note that they already are with respect to prescription drug prices. When you look at what the president has done with most favored nations, you've seen these big pharmaceutical companies in the Oval Office saying that this president and his team were nonstop around the clock pressuring us and negotiating with us to lower the cost of prescription drugs for Americans. And we are already seeing that to the tune, in some cases, of more than 500%. And that Trump RX website is something that the administration will be formally launching very soon, so Americans will have access to those lower costs of drugs.
Wow. Genius move, right? Making more drugs available over the counter. That completely bypasses the doctor pharmaceutical complex. Do you understand? That's what forces you into expensive office visits just to get basic medications. They are literally removing every gatekeeper between you and affordable health care. No wonder the medical establishment's freaking out. No wonder they're going right into the Oval Office. Right? Begging. See, look, this plan either revolutionizes American healthcare or dies in Congress under corporate pressure. There's no middle ground here. Trump is betting that Americans are tired of being cash cows for big pharma and insurance giants. The MAHA movement gives him the populist health angle he never had before. And if it works, you are going to be paying European prices for drugs and choosing your own health insurance with government money. If it fails, we're back to the same broken system that's bankrupting families, and the establishment will throw everything they have at stopping this because their profit margins depend on the current rigged game. This is David versus Goliath, except David has presidential power and a pissed-off population behind him. Check out the Next News merch shop while you can still afford health care. So do you think that Congress will actually pass this? Or will Big Pharma buy enough votes to kill it? Yes or no? What do we have here? Dave the Patriot is back in the super chat. Trump is colluding all family business. The Godfather. Tamara Jennings dropping 3. A thumbs up hand gesture with the words top. No, you're the top. You are the top. All right. We're moving right along. And we've got some more news to cover tonight, so thanks for sticking around. It's a late night here at the Raw Feed at the Next News Network studios. The lights are on and everybody is home. But most importantly, you are here with us. Let's get into it, Brian. A Secret Service agent tasked with protecting Vice President J.D. Vance just got caught on undercover video spilling classified security details to what he thought was a romantic interest. We're talking shift schedules, travel plans, real-time locations, even photos from Air Force Two. The agent, Thomas Escado, he's now on administrative leave with his clearance suspended. But here's what makes this story absolutely explosive. You see, this is not just about a rogue agent with loose lips. This exposes fundamental vulnerabilities in the Secret Service's vetting and oversight systems. We're talking about the same agency that failed spectacularly in Butler, Pennsylvania. Now we have agents on the vice president's detail who openly oppose the administration they're sworn to protect, sharing classified information with strangers. Think about the personal risk to Vance and his family. Their safety depends on operational security, and that just got blown wide open. Now, politically, this raises some serious questions about whether holdover personnel from previous administrations can even be trusted with the most sensitive protective duties. The social implications are staggering. If our most elite security professionals can be this easily compromised, what does it say about our national security apparatus as a whole? And speaking of national security vulnerabilities, we need to talk about something that's been keeping defense officials awake at night. It's a metal that most people never even think about, but governments and defense contractors think about it every single day. Now, I've spent years focused on gold and silver, and I should, and you should too. Look at the prices. But the opportunity that's caught my attention sits one layer deeper. It's like a sleeping giant. It's a critical mineral, and it's one metal in particular. I'm talking about titanium. Did you ever think about that? So while Secret Service scandals are dominating the headlines, the real national security crisis is our dependence on foreign sources for the materials that power our defense systems. There's one company, SAGA Metals. They have been positioned at the forefront of this critical supply chain issue. So check out SAGA Metals and learn how you can position yourself in this overlooked but very essential sector. There is a briefing link down below that you need to see. But here's the twist that makes this even more disturbing. Escado allegedly told the undercover journalist he voted for Biden and expressed hatred for Trump and Vance's immigration policies. That's right, another one who drank the Kool-Aid. So we have a Secret Service agent protecting someone he openly despises while simultaneously compromising their security. The agent even acknowledged that he signed paperwork preventing information disclosure, saying otherwise I'd get in trouble. And the complete lack of self-awareness is staggering. James O'Keefe strikes again. Yeah, God bless James O'Keefe. Just got undercover footage of the Secret Service agent signed to J.D. Vance leaking sensitive security information, openly gives away Vance's shift schedules, travel plans, and real-time locations. Wall Street Ape says this is literally treason. This is the post from James O'Keefe. U.S. Secret Service agent assigned to VP J.D. Vance leaked sensitive security information to undercover reporter. Escado's a holdover from the Biden administration and stated that he voted for Biden while expressing opposition to ICE in the Trump administration. Buckle up. Buckle up. Oh, I guess we'll have to buckle up later. The footage immediately triggering an official response from Secret Service leadership, showing how seriously they're taking the breach. Per Secret Service Director Matthew Quinn, Agent John Escado has now been placed on administrative leave, his clearance suspended. Citing the situation, Director Quinn said the Secret Service has no tolerance for any behavior that could potentially compromise the safety of their protectees. But J.D. Vance security leak, this is the tip of the iceberg. We're now learning that multiple Secret Service failures have been kept under wraps. The Telegraph reports Secret Service agents suspended. Agency left with blood all over their hands after security failings at Pennsylvania. Remember? Who will ever forget that? The Trump rally incident reveals a pattern of negligence, and we're getting names of specific agents who dropped the ball. Secret Service agents suspended over the Trump assassination attempt now revealed. Mayosati Perez was among 6 Secret Service agents suspended for failures during the July 13th, 2024 assassination attempt in Butler. Perez, who was sent to secure the site. Suspended. Yep. I wonder if she hated President Trump too. The suspension connects to another deadly event of misconduct becoming a full-blown crisis within the Secret Service. Let's listen here.
It's very difficult to say. It varies. It also varies on what's going in the world. What did they say on camera? What's happening? What kind of press conference did they give? What did they vote for? What did they not vote for? It's really what the president does, and then the mood of the country, the mood of things happening outside of the country. Did they do something to anger somebody like ISIS? And now are they making targeted threats? Are they putting out information through social media saying, you know what, we want you to target this event. We want you to go out there and target the inauguration. Send a message to the specific president. So there's so many variables. It's really difficult to say, you know, and again, they really kind of keep this information close to the chest. The Secret Service does not like to release information.
Yeah, they don't like to release information unless they're on a date. Major news outlets are now confirming what started as undercover footage legitimizing the severity of the breaches. O'Keefe undercover video. Here it is. Oh, it's not coming in either. The O'Keefe investigation has exposed systematic problems, and now we're seeing the full scope of how compromised our highest levels of protection really are. Now, I'm going to see if I can grab this for you from another resource real quick, because we need to get this in front of you immediately. And I know we have it. Here's the footage. This is what you've been waiting for. Damning footage.
Can I see your badge again with your photo? You're so cute.
A current Secret Service agent on Vice President J.D. Vance's security detail.
When he's like walking, like where are you?
We'll have at least a minimum head and
gives away vital high-level security information to our undercover journalists.
We have different shifts. We have shift.
Tells her about detailed future travel plans for the Vice President, and even sends her pictures with location metadata revealing where the President's convoy was located, potentially violating both the Secret Service NDA and United States federal law. And Tomas is fully aware of this. Quote, I signed paperwork, so if I don't have to get out information, I never do, otherwise I get in trouble. You really have to stand in awe of the lack of self-awareness.
They know secret about what we do.
Tomas Escato also reveals that he voted for Biden and that he hates Trump and Vance's immigration policies.
Did you vote for Biden?
Yes, I did actually.
Yeah. What do you think about like all the ICE stuff going on?
Yeah, I hate that shit.
Yeah.
They're employing taxes that shouldn't be employed.
You may have seen reports last week that someone attempted to break into Vice President J.D. Vance's home in Ohio. That incident prompted us to take a closer look. What we found in our investigation was an agent inside the Vice President's detail who is actually revealing to a total stranger that the Vice President will be visiting his home in Ohio days ahead of time. And while what you're about to see is an important story, the security of the Vice President and his family is our top priority. Now, under normal circumstances, our editorial policy is to request comment a day or two before a report airs. But in this case, we contacted the Secret Service a full week in advance of this report to ensure that nothing we report here would compromise the Vice President's safety in any way. But even with those precautions, What we uncovered is troubling, and we felt this is important for you all to see. We hope that bringing this to light strengthens security and helps prevent future vulnerabilities in our government.
Can I see your badge again with your photo? You said you were training. It was your training?
Yeah, that's like 4 years ago.
You're so cute.
We met Thomas on the dating app Tinder in October of 2025. The Secret Service agent is a holdover from the Biden administration, who was actually originally tasked with protecting Kamala Harris and Doug Emhoff. In fact, he sent us this image from a Christmas party in December of 2024. There he is with Kamala Harris.
How did you get picked to do like vice president?
Not by choice, it's just they talk to you and they let you know. It's like, hey, eventually you're going to have to go down to D.C.
Okay.
All roads lead to D.C. when you're great. So you can go to the president's detail, the vice president's detail, what we call counter surveillance division, so that's undercover stuff.
Note the irony, he's talking about undercover counter surveillance to a journalist wearing a hidden camera. Tomas Escato is often directly involved in the vice president's transportation to and from his residence at the Naval Observatory, surveillance of the vice president's residence, and even protecting Vance's wife Usha Vance and their children. Here he complains again to a total stranger he just met about his assignment involving J.D. Vance's children.
So what are his kids like?
We go to school with them.
Oh.
Yeah, we follow them everywhere. There's a 24/7, there is no black coverage. Not like it's a babysitter or R. It's a weird one that we always talk about, like, what the fuck is this? But you can't do nothing.
Oh, you can't do anything?
No, we can't do anything.
Tomas proceeds to give our undercover journalist detailed info with pictures about the specific methods used to transport and protect the vice president. It even tells her some exact times of shift changes on the Secret Service schedule.
So like when he's like walking, like where are you?
Following.
Just following.
It's a group of us, we surround, make a bubble.
Yeah.
We'll have at least a minimum head and now that I'm on the vice president's actual details, they're different because we have different shifts. We have shift.
Via text, J.D. Vance's Secret Service agent informs the stranger when he has picked up J.D. Vance's wife and even mentions that he and Vance are currently at Tomas even sends a selfie from inside a J.D. Vance's residence at the Naval Observatory. It's basically a secure location while the Secret Service is surveilling the vice president's home. Now, while he's supposed to be guarding the vice president's property, Tomas is busy snapping selfies, texting our journalist. Now here's a picture that Tomas sent us taking off from Joint Base Andrews Air Force Base. You see the convoy vehicle going into the airplane, and some of these photos even had location metadata baked in the photos. It's worth mentioning that these pictures were taken a few months prior to sending them to our journalist. While they didn't give away the vice president's location in real time, they did give away certain routes that were used and the number of vehicles in the convoy, information which could be used in the future. This is a photo Tomas sent us from King Khalid International Airport in Saudi Arabia. Here's a photo Tomas sent us loading the convoy into an aircraft at Munich Airport in Germany, where Vice President Vance gave a speech to the Munich Security Council. Again, metadata there on the photo. Another image revealing the exact location at the presidential helicopter at JFK in New York. And we think perhaps most significant here revealed the location where President Trump's convoy was driving through Emirates Palace in Abu Dhabi, May 2025. This convoy was transporting President Trump for a state visit with the UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. These photos are from Tomas Escato's time during the Secret Service shot from his personal iPhone. His personal phone dating back to May, while on duty protecting the vice president and president, and all of this was sent to our undercover journalist. The Secret Service agent even goes on to detail recent visits to Minnesota, Tennessee, specifies that the Secret Service team was on location as per the procedure.
He went to Minnesota last week.
Okay.
So we sent out a team ahead of time before he went there. Ahead of time.
Okay.
So they do the security advance for that. depending on what it is, you know,
Sure.
you liaison with our field office out there, local law enforcement,
Wow,
state law
okay.
enforcement, and any other federal law enforcement, depending on what we're doing. Come up with a plan to secure where he's going to be at, the airport, the route from each place that he's going to. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If he's staying in a hotel, then we have someone else that we have to set that up.
Oh my God.
Before the trip to Tennessee, the Secret Service agent also texts our journalist informing her which plane the vice president will be traveling in and when they plan to depart. He even texts her an image of himself in the plane, notifying her that he is on board with the VP. And even worse, Escato continues to detail Vance's future travel plans, revealing at the time that Vance will be visiting his home in Ohio for 4 to 5 days and then will be visiting Florida for one night. Now, this is potentially a violation of the non-disclosure agreement that Tomas would have signed when joining the Secret Service, which states, quote, the unauthorized disclosure, unauthorized retention, or negligent handling of classified information by me could damage or irreparably be injury to the United States or could be used to advantage by a foreign nation. I hereby agree that I will never divulge classified information to anyone, unquote. And it may also be a violation of federal law. 18 U.S. Code 793, gathering, transmitting, or losing defense information. Now, in some Section D, it states lawfully having possession of photographs related to national defense and communicating or transmitting them to any person not entitled to receive them shall be fined or imprisoned, not more than 10 years or both. It's important to note that the Secret Service could not confirm that the behavior exhibited by Tomas violates these laws, but they did say they are potential violations of the United States Secret Service Code of Conduct. Tomas is fully aware of this, as he mentions in one text to our journalist, quote, I signed paperwork, so if I don't have to give out information, I never do, otherwise I get in trouble. You really have to stand in awe of the lack of self-awareness. All of what I just showed you is ironic, because Escato has already given our journalist information about protective formations, times of shift changes, locations and times of travel, and even pictures of vice president convoys with location data. There is one more aspect to this interaction that caught our attention. Tomas reveals to our undercover that he voted for Biden.
Did you vote for Biden?
Yes, I did actually.
No, it's 2020.
2020, yeah.
Yeah, I did too.
That was the first time I was able to vote.
Really?
I wasn't a citizen.
Wow.
I got my citizenship in 2018.
If Tomas got his citizenship in 2018, he's been a Secret Service agent for 5 years.
How long have you been as a Secret Service?
5 years.
5 years. Okay.
And that means he was placed into duty with the Secret Service after about 2 years of citizenship in America. Tomas also goes on to reveal that he hates President Trump and Vice President Vance's immigration policies.
What do you think about like all the ICE stuff going on?
I don't like that.
It's really sad.
I don't understand why they're covering their face. I don't agree with that at all. At the end of the day, we're public servants.
Sure.
You're allowed to see our face.
Yeah.
There ain't nothing secret about what we do. But why they're doing that, I have no idea. They gotta stop with that stuff.
Yeah. It's terribly sad.
No.
Nothing's secret about what we do. Not anymore. It's all out in the open. Thanks to James O'Keefe dropping bombs. And now we're learning that the agent has been placed on administrative leave, his clearance suspended, Secret Service investigating.
So a pretty wild controversy has erupted in the Secret Service. And this involves the protection detail for Vice President J.D. Vance. An undercover video released on January 13th shows a Secret Service agent, Thomas Escato, allegedly sharing sensitive, protective details with someone he believes was a romantic interest, but was actually an undercover journalist. The disclosures reportedly included shift schedules, protective formations, travel plans, real-time locations, and photographs taken while aboard Air Force Two, all of which could pose serious security risks. According to the report, Escato, described as a holdover from the Biden administration, also expressed personal opposition to ICE and Trump administration immigration policies during the interactions. Shortly after the footage surfaced, the Secret Service placed Escato on administrative leave, suspended his security clearance, and revoked his access to agency facilities and systems while the matter is investigated. The agency stated it has no tolerance for any behavior that could potentially compromise the safety, privacy, or trust of our protectees. They've also ordered all personnel to retake anti-espionage training. Interesting, to say the least. But that's all I got for now. Just a reminder, I have a free email newsletter. I send this out every morning around 7 a.m. Central. It's a good tool to have in your arsenal to stay up to date with what's going on.
And that's why people watch the Next News Network. James O'Keefe strikes again. Oh, yeah. This is good stuff, man. This poor guy. Fell for the oldest trick in the book. The oldest trick in the book. So let's continue as we do. And because I do need to talk about this investigation. It's exposed systematic problems, and now we're seeing the full scope about just how compromised our highest levels of protection really are. This is a major security breach. And when you think about all the other security breaches, okay, the agent signing paperwork preventing information disclosure, saying, I'd get in trouble. Complete, I mean, talking about anti-espionage. And he's the guy's, the person he met on Tinder wearing a camera. You can't even identify it. See, this is the moment that should terrify every American. This agent sent photographs with location metadata showing exactly where the vice president's convoy was positioned. Not too bright. Think about that. Real-time location data of the second highest official in our government handed over to a complete stranger. You see, we're not just looking at a security breach. We're staring at a potential assassination blueprint. Who else is he speaking to like this? The Secret Service scandal reveals something far more dangerous than one compromised agent. It exposes a culture of political bias and operational incompetence within the agency responsible for protecting our highest officials. When agents can openly despise those they're sworn to protect while simultaneously sharing classified security details with strangers they met on Tinder, we're not looking at isolated incidents. We're seeing systematic failure. The same agency that failed in Butler is now caught with politically motivated agents compromising vice presidential security. So the question isn't whether more breaches will happen, it's when. So do you trust Secret Service to protect our leaders when their own agents are the threat? Make sure you check out the Next News merch shop for exclusive gear that shows you're awake to what's really happening. Holy cow, man. Holy cow. I love when James O'Keefe just drops a bombshell. Oh, by the way, Secret Service guy. All right, we're going to move on to our next topic. But first, our super chats. Let's see. Oh, this is Do You Hashtag's back. We need an American medical corps. It's not bound to the pharmaceutical industry, according to trained doctors, nurses, and EMTs and paramedics. American Medical Corps. That's an interesting idea. And Truthy Ruthie got honorable mention during that segment for $20. Love you, Gary. Keep up the great reporting. I had to show that. I don't always show the super chats during the segments, but that one just warmed my heart. Okay, so we're going to get into this next topic because it is getting crazy out there. A suburban house in Texas just exposed a massive immigration fraud network. 5 fake companies, 50 H-1B visas, millions in fraudulent salaries, all traced back to one family home. But this is not an isolated case. Citizen journalists are uncovering these schemes nationwide, and what they're finding will make your blood boil. Now, this affects every American taxpayer funding these fraudulent operations through government programs. While you're working overtime to make ends meet, foreign nationals are gaming the H-1B system with fake companies collecting 6-figure salaries for jobs that don't exist. These aren't isolated incidents. They're part of a coordinated network that spans multiple states. The fraud is so widespread that 80% of the charges are coming from just one congressional district. Your tax dollars are being stolen, your job opportunities are being fraudulently claimed, and politicians are actively protecting these criminal operations. The systematic theft is happening in suburbs across America, hidden behind the facade of legitimate businesses. And with fraud networks this sophisticated, you do need to be prepared for what is coming. So let me ask you something. If the power went out tonight, if stores were empty tomorrow, would you be ready? Most people aren't. That's why I always recommend My Patriot Supply. And right now they've got a special deal on their 3-month emergency food kit. Save $100, but only while supplies last. Now, the kit gives you over 2,000 calories a day for 90 days. Real meals, not freeze-dried mush. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, even drinks and snacks, all packed into sturdy buckets, last up to 25 years. I've got mine. It's made right here in the USA. They've thought of everything. No MSG, no junk. Just food you can count on when it matters most. And listen, they've got fast, free shipping even. A 30-day return policy, even a disaster replacement guarantee. America's going to need some heroes very soon, so will you be one of them? Look, you already know what's coming. Why wait until the world falls apart to start protecting people? By then, it will be too late. Your window of opportunity will be closed and boarded up for good. So get the life-saving food your family needs and do it now. It lasts up to 25 years. Don't worry you're jumping the gun. The food you buy today will be ready to eat and delicious the moment things take a turn. So when disaster strikes, will your family be ready? Will they be eating 3 delicious meals a day? You'll be the hero if they are, if you make it happen. So do what I did. Go to preparewithgary.com right now. Preparewithgary.com. Get prepared and get peace of mind. Now back to the shocking fraud discoveries. This is where it gets really disturbing. When investigators started exposing the transportation fraud schemes worth millions of dollars, they faced violent threats. And the perpetrators aren't just stealing money. They're intimidating anyone who dares to investigate. Meanwhile, politicians are demanding ICE stop making arrests in districts where the fraud is most concentrated. They're literally protecting the criminals while your communities suffer the consequences. Eric Darty, Representative Mark Harris on the House floor calling out Republicans who hyped up Doge and Elon Musk 1 year ago, but aren't following through. Where's the enthusiasm now? Why are we not continuing to slash the fraud? We did it with USAID, NPR, and PBS, but
only a year ago, several in my party were hyping up DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. I must ask, where's the enthusiasm now? Why are we not continuing to slash the waste, fraud, and abuse? We did it with USAID, NPR, and PBS. But listen, we can't stop there. While we're wielding the budget axe, let's be unequivocal about what should never receive another dime of taxpayer money.
Oh, the taxpayer money is just going out the door. This is the House floor call out about stalled fraud investigation, setting up perfectly for the massive transport fraud scheme that we are about to expose. Nick Shirley strikes again.
There were no transportation companies.
No, none.
This isn't about race. This isn't against religion. This is about fraud. We're fighting fraud here. We're not fighting a race.
Well, and this is what happens when you put a spotlight on fraud. The people who are benefiting become extremely violent, and the Somalis are the most violent people I have ever met in my whole life.
Because he couldn't answer the question. Where was the transportation company?
He wouldn't answer the question. All he did was make it about race and then issue threats.
Neither business was there or operating, and giving a very conservative estimate based off of David's numbers and other numbers online, it's fair to say each business is operating with an average of 20 vehicles and with a much lower and generous rate of $25 per trip. And with 10 alleged trips a day, each business is pulling an estimate of $1.3 million in gross revenue. And with those two locations alone, there's over $2.6 million in estimated fraud. All right, we're going to the next location.
What's interesting, Nick, is that one of the places we just visited, the 617 Cedar Avenue South, that's for Dreamline Transportation. That's the address listed with the state of Minnesota. But the place that we're going right now is going to have vans that say Dreamline Transportation on them, but they haven't moved in months and months. You'll see they're covered with snow. There will be no tire tracks. And so why are they using this address? And all that was in there was a liquor store. And he told us to talk to the guy next door, and those were all just mailboxes. And then the guy next door said, go talk to him. I said, we just talked to him. Obviously, the cover-up, and you see how they all stick together, and it's all this intimidation. And thank God we had the security we did there, because that would have been bad.
Now we're outside of this transportation vehicle company right here.
Yeah, and so you can see these are the vans that say Dreamline. You can see the sticker on the window and the numbers on the rear. None of these vehicles have moved in 8 months. I've been taking timestamp, date stamp photos. All these vehicles are in the exact same spot they were 8 months ago. And look, there's no tire tracks, so they haven't moved.
And this van as well, this is Dreamline. Dreamline was the location where we got chased out from the Somalis on 617 Cedar. And this is a vehicle from Dreamline that actually didn't even exist. It was a liquor store. And now it's here, and the vans haven't moved at all. Literally, no vans and no tire tracks anywhere. If these vans are being used to transport people, whether it be healthcare, childcare, there would be snow tracks. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 vehicles here. No snow tracks anywhere. These vehicles are not being used, and these transportation companies are making lots of money. Meanwhile, there's actually nothing to show for it. Here's all of the vehicles right here.
All the vehicles. Look at them on your screen. Haven't moved at all. Transportation company where? To nowhere is where. The transport fraud headline is just the tip of the iceberg. Wait to see the rage building over the scams. NS Mashir. Don't let the door hit you in your scamming, grifting, fraud, leering ass. Leave now. Public anger boiling over because there's actual documented evidence of systemic fraud that demands immediate action. Ross Marine. Looks like arrests can begin right here. Documented immigration fraud. No need to wait. Start the perp walk now. Thank you for your attention to this matter. This call for arrest isn't just talk. We're seeing specific allegations tied to major political figures' district. Ilhan Omar enters the chat. She wants ICE out of Minneapolis because ICE is arresting her co-conspirators in the multi-billion-dollar fraud scheme. 80% of the fraud charges have come from District MN5. 80% of the fraud. 80% of the fraud from Ilhan Omar's district. Do you understand what is at stake here and why she is going on the freshly rebranded MSNBC to scream victim, to point the finger at Orange Man Bad and his Nazi ICE agents? Let's see what she has to say here.
We want ICE out of our district. We want them out of our state. We want this terror to stop. The lives of people are being interrupted, and it is not justifiable for the president to target our state and the residents of the beautiful state of Minnesota this way.
Our beautiful state of fraud is what she meant. Omar's district connection explains everything about her desperate push to get ICE out of Minneapolis before more arrests can happen. Eric Doherty returns. Holy crap, more fraud. Citizen journalists find a single family home with 5 entities registered there, including a nonprofit in Frisco, Texas. 50 people approved through H-1B salaries, over $100,000 a year. It's fraud, and it's everywhere.
See how cute this house is in Frisco, Texas? It'd be perfect for a family. A suburban dream. There's actually 5 different businesses registered to this one house, ranging from a nonprofit to for-profits to a tech company. And you'll also be glad to know that there's over 50 people who've already been approved through the H-1B visa system to work for this company. And with salaries of over $100,000 a year through this company that's registered through this suburban house in Frisco, Texas, you'll wonder why you're working your regular 9-to-5 job. Unfortunately, this is already the second suburban house we've found that is registered to a bunch of different companies. Where are they getting their money? Where are they running their companies? Guess we'll just have to find out.
Oh, and we're going to find out. We are not stopping this investigation. This Texas discovery, what does it do? It proves the fraud is not isolated to Minnesota. It's a nationwide network operating in plain sight. The White House posting this. Minnesota fraudsters will be held accountable. Giving a nod to Nick Shirley. The videos from Nick Shirley have shed tremendous light on the situation of Minnesota, and the Department of Justice will continue to lead the effort to identify and prosecute the fraud. This is the image that the White House presented with that tweet. Minnesota fraud. To date, the Department of Justice has charged 98 total defendants in several Medicaid fraud and related case programs. 64 were convicted, pleas and trials. 85 of the charge were of Somali descent. The DOJ has issued over 1,750 subpoenas, executed over 130 search warrants, and conducted over 1,000 witness interviews. Oh, they're doing their homework, folks, because they're not going to let this slide. Now, the White House response clearly shows that this has reached the highest levels of government, setting up Trump's bombshell announcement. He'll be locking up all politicians involved with the massive fraud. It called out Ilhan Omar by name. This is what we voted for. This is exactly what we voted for. I'm going to pull that up for you because I need to see what the president had to say. Here it is.
He's so impassioned to do this properly. We intend to imprison any fraudster, politician, or public official involved in these sick plots to loot and pillage our country. Think of that Ilhan Omar. She lives in Somalia. They don't have a government. They don't have a military. They don't have police. They don't have anything. All they have is murder and robbing ships, bringing in ships, pirates. That's stopped. Same missile, ping. That's the end of them. It's amazing how that can stop corruption. Those missiles, they never miss, you know. The same one, exactly the same one. But think of it, she comes from a country with nothing, and she comes Attorney General for fraud. He's a fantastic young guy. He's so impassioned to do this properly. We intend to imprison any fraudster, politician, or public official.
Name. And that's the way it should be. Finally. Trump's direct call out of Omar by name puts maximum pressure on her, just as she's trying to defend ICE operation. ICE has not been able to produce any evidence that they're finding people who are undocumented who have committed any crimes.
They have not been able to tell us what is the purpose for this search. They haven't been able to produce any evidence that they are finding people who are undocumented, who have committed crimes. Almost every single person that they have information and shared information with us has been someone that has already been adjudicated and was already in prison. And so there's no way to justify what they are doing. It is unleashing complete terror on the residents of Minnesota.
Yeah. But we all know who's really unleashing terror on Minnesota. You can't hide behind the hijab forever, girl. The moment we moved to subpoena Ilhan Omar and her brother's immigration records, for years, serious questions have surrounded Omar's immigration history and alleged marriage fraud. Oversight exists for moments like this. No one is above the law.
Be recognized to make a motion.
Yes, go ahead.
I move that the committee issue a subpoena to the Department of Homeland Security and the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services for all records related to the immigration and naturalization of or any immigration benefit received by Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, Ahmed Abdi Salan Irsi, also known as Ahmed Aden, Ahmed Nur Saeed Elmi, and any members of Ilhan Omar's family.
Okay, another motion is made. The committee will hold this motion in abeyance until the end of today's hearing. The committee will now proceed with today's hearing.
Oh yeah, party's over, girl. You got the Homeland Security subpoena. Party is over. It's all coming down. You see, this is organized crime masquerading as immigration assistance. Fake nonprofits, phantom tech companies, fraudulent transportation businesses, all operating from suburban homes while processing millions in government payments. Journalists forced their hand. You see, the fraud networks exposed this week represent a tip of the iceberg, only the tip. Now, when a single house can harbor 5 fake companies processing 50 fraudulent visas, imagine what's happening in thousands of similar operations nationwide. These aren't victimless crimes. Every fraudulent visa takes an opportunity from a legal applicant. Every stolen dollar comes from your taxes. Every fake company undermines legitimate business. The violence directed at investigators proves how much money is at stake. Citizen journalists are doing the work government agencies refuse to do, but they need your support to keep going. So do you believe this fraud network extends far beyond what we've discovered so far? Let me know in the comments, and while you're there, check out the Next News merch shop. All right. Okay, so moving right along. Okay. All right. Brian, I may need you to let the stream run for an extended amount of time tonight. We have a buffering issue that I'm tracking. So I just want you to keep the stream running. Let's see here. Let me just check something. Let's see. Let's see. All right. Let's see what's going on in our next topic here. Because the fraud, we've been tracking this fraud, this Minneapolis fraud, and the ICE operations, and it's spilling over. The violence is getting crazy. But these are the last gasps of the fraudsters. Okay. And we're going to go into it right now in our next topic. Anti-ICE protesters in Minneapolis just crossed a line that should terrify every single American. They didn't just throw rocks and chant slogans. They broke into a federal vehicle, stole weapons and ammunition, then disappeared into the chaos. The FBI is now hunting for armed rioters who literally looted law enforcement firearms. But here's what the mainstream media won't tell you about what's really happening. You think this is just another protest story? And think again. We're talking about armed civilians who now possess stolen federal weapons and ammo. These are not your typical demonstrators. They're people willing to break into government vehicles and steal firearms. Meanwhile, ICE agents are trying to arrest Venezuelan criminals, including rapists and drug traffickers, while Democrat governors like Tim Walz actively obstruct their operations. And the White House is slamming Minnesota leadership for turning up the temperature and making ICE officers targets for violence. When protesters steal weapons from federal agents, we've crossed from civil disobedience into something far more dangerous. Your family's safety depends on law enforcement being able to do their jobs without being shot at or having their weapons stolen. And speaking of being prepared for dangerous times, I do need to tell you about today's sponsor. I need to ask you something. If the power went out tonight, if the stores were empty tomorrow, would you be ready? See, most people aren't, and that's why I always recommend My Patriot Supply, and right now they've got a special deal on their 3-month emergency food kit. You'll save $100, but only while supplies last. Now, the kit gives you over 2,000 calories a day for 90 days. That's real food. All packed in sturdy buckets, last up to 25 years, made it right here in the United States. No MSG, no junk, just food you can count on when it matters most. And they've got fast free shipping, 30-day return policy, disaster replacement guarantee. Who does that? America's going to need some heroes very soon. Will you be one of them? You already know what's coming. So why wait until the world falls apart to start protecting your people? By then it'll be too late. Your window of opportunity closed, boarded up for good. So get the life-saving food that your family needs and do it right now. It lasts up to 25 years. Don't worry you're jumping the gun. The food you buy today will be ready to eat in the delicious moment things take a turn. So when disaster strikes, your family will be eating 3 delicious meals a day, and you'll be the hero who made it happen. So do what I did. Go to preparewithgary.com. Hell, I even started a website for it. That's preparewithgary.com. Get prepared and get peace of mind. Now back to this Minneapolis situation. Spiraling out of control. So this is the part that's going to make your blood boil. I'm sorry, but the Department of Homeland Security just revealed all 3 illegal aliens involved in last night's violent attack on law enforcement were let into the country by who? The Biden administration. One of them, Julio Cesar Sosas Celis from Venezuela, already had a criminal record. The press secretary had explained that ICE was conducting a self-defense shooting while trying to arrest this Venezuelan criminal. Self-defense because they're being attacked while doing their jobs. Laura Ingraham, not too pleased. What a horrible, stupid man. She sets the stage for all the chaos that's happening. DHS statement to Fox News regarding the ICE-involved shooting in Minnesota. 6:50 p.m. Central Time. Federal law enforcement officers were conducting a targeted traffic stop in Minneapolis of an illegal alien from Venezuela who was released into the country.
Get the fuck out!
You know what's wild about the footage you just saw? You see they're driving a Chrysler Pacifica? And I was at an event, we'll say, and I mentioned that I noticed that they're all driving Pacificas. I never thought I'd own a minivan, but yes, I own a Pacifica. And I love it. Probably one of the greatest vehicles I've ever owned. And I made note of it. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty smart that they got the Pacifica because it's got the automatic doors. You know, a lot of these minivans have that now. They can open those doors, close them automatically. It's like mechanical, perfect. And who I was talking to said that they are all rented. That DHS is renting these from a certain rental company, and a lot of times they come back destroyed. And I just thought that was interesting because I had made note of it. Where are they getting these Pacificas? Like, they all look the same and they're all rented. Can you imagine like walking up to the rental counter? Yeah, I need a rental vehicle. So the DHS statement gives us the official federal perspective, but wait till you see what's happening on the ground. Video protesters in Minnesota a short time ago after the man was shot in the leg by a federal officer who was reportedly attacked outside the apartment at 600 block of 24th Avenue North. DHS says the officer was ambushed by an illegal alien and 2 other people. Here's some more of that footage following the incident. Doesn't appear to be any audio on this, but you can see that's Definitely not a rented vehicle with all of the outfitted lights, but look at the mob surrounding the vehicle. So they shoot a Venezuelan gang member in the streets, and then the gangs, look at, they're throwing firecrackers. This is deadly, what's happening there. Oh, boy. And see, this is all being egged on by the governor, by the mayor, and all of them. Protests turning violent, federal agents deploying crowd control measures to maintain order, thick green smoke seen on the scene. ICE involves shooting, smoke grenades, political grandstanding. Here's how a local incident becomes national. Indian Representative Shari Thander files legislation to abolish ICE. Good luck with that, dude. So while Minneapolis streets burn, politicians in Washington are weaponizing the crisis for maximum political gain. Unreal. Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons slamming Mayor Frey.
You know, it sounds like the mayor wants to work with ICE, and he, is appreciative of what we would do, but he's not doing that. We are going out up to the worst of the worst, and we've already highlighted what some of our worst of the worst have we released. And there were rapists, murderers, like he said, that were re-released back into the community because of sanctuary policies. So that isn't working with ICE, and that's not putting the best interest of your constituents and your communities ahead of political ideology.
They are putting above the interests of their constituents, which is pretty much par for the course. ICE leadership is firing back at local officials, setting up direct confrontation between federal and city authorities. Tom Homan explains how ICE surge in Minneapolis is entirely self-inflicted. I'm going to get that for you. Tom Homan never holds back. Let's see, where did we put that? Here it is. Tom Homan firing back.
People, we're going to find these criminals and make America safe again. So if they don't let us in a jail, we're going to go in the community. And the difference is, in places that's not a sanctuary, one agent can walk into a jail and arrest one criminal illegal alien. But when you release them in the community, now we got to send the whole team because we got to arrest somebody on their turf. They have access, who knows what weapons. It makes it dangerous for the officer, makes it dangerous for the alien, and certainly makes it dangerous for the community. So if Minneapolis wants to help, like I saw Mayor Frey do an interview this morning, let us in your damn jail. What's the downside of letting a federal law enforcement officer with the immigration authority talk to an illegal alien that you already locked up and put in a jail cell? It's ridiculous that they're pushing back on that. President Trump made his promise to American people, we're going to find these criminals and make America safe again. So if they don't let us in a jail, we're going to go in the community. And the difference is, in places that's not a sanctuary, one agent can walk into a jail and arrest one criminal illegal alien. But when you release them in the community,
moving right along, Speaker Mike Johnson telling Democrats to screw off. ICE will never be defunded, no matter how hard they threaten government
This
shutdown.
is no time to be playing games with national security and public safety, and that's what Democrats are doing, beating the drums up here. Remember what ICE stands for. It's Immigration and Customs Enforcement. They are enforcing the law. They are apprehending the dangerous criminals who were allowed into our country because Joe Biden kept the border wide open for 4 years. An estimated more than 20 million people came in. Many of them are a great danger to our community. A lot of them have collected in cities like Minneapolis. You know, these sanctuary cities, they're all there, and so ICE has to go and do its job. There's a lot of spin on the Democrat side. They're assaulting our law enforcement officers, and they're breaking the law. They need to get out of the way and allow federal law enforcement to do its duty. That serves all the American people.
It is national security, but people just want to play politics because Orange Man's bad. Orange Man's so bad. Speaker Johnson's defiance shows Republicans are doubling down despite mounting political pressure. New unearthed footage with CNN doing a ride-along with ICE in 2016 where they're supporting the operations. This aged very poorly.
Attack one, guys.
An Immigration and Customs Enforcement team gears up for another long day, pursuing undocumented immigrants who have been convicted of crimes in the U.S. ICE agents mistakenly arrest the target's brother.
In the process of talking to him in the vehicle, he then said, oh, no, I'm actually so-and-so. Who you're looking for is over here, this other address. He led us to that address, and we were able to actually arrest the individual.
Do you have evidence, right, that he's using a fake identity, or?
That is correct. We believe he's been using a U.S. citizen's identity to live and work. He has an Illinois driver's license. Third target, he has an unauthorized use of a weapon, which was a firearm. He has a couple DUIs. He is a criminal. He has an extensive criminal history. And by taking him out of the community, it's making the community safer. And that's ICE's purpose, is to focus on criminals and community safety by taking these recidivist criminals out of our communities.
Well, as a journalist, I saw you really leaning in there. What are you? What's going through your
curious.
mind?
Yeah, I mean, like the game's changed, right? The language changed, the positions have changed. I think we've learned a lot about Minneapolis over the past 5 years, going back to George Floyd. And one thing that I learned about its police department, based on its population, I wonder if they're understaffed or
100%,
like less than full civil support. Minneapolis has a population of 428,000. They have 600 sworn officers. Oakland, California has relatively the same amount population-wise. They have 700. Wichita, Kansas, 650. Tulsa, Oklahoma, 800. New Orleans, fewer people, 1,000 cops. Miami, Florida, about the same, 2,000 cops.
2,000 cops. CNN, though, that's the joke. That's the joke. Doing a ride-along. Did you notice the composure of that agent? Totally casual, just doing his job, and didn't feel like he was under duress in any situation. Now they have to hide their identities because of the threats they're getting. It exposes the hypocrisy of the media. But the medical details are telling the story next. The ICE agent who shot Renee Good in the alleged car ramming incident, according to ABC News, suffered internal bleeding. Multiple U.S. officials familiar with his medical condition told ABC News. Remember when Mayor Frey said, "Oh, it was like he hurt himself closing the fridge with his hip." That's how the mayor of Minneapolis described it. But no, he had internal bleeding. The ICE agent's internal bleeding proves this was not a minor incident. It was a serious assault on a federal law enforcement officer. Border Commander Greg Bovino firing back with perfect response to Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey telling ICE to get the F out. Listen.
Response to the mayor, Matt, we've said this again, Matt. Response to the mayor telling ICE to get the F out of the city.
Sure, you know, Mayor Frey seems to, again, Matt, we've said this many times, choose illegal aliens and criminal illegal aliens over the American citizens in his city. Let me say that again. He chooses criminal aliens, aliens that would harm children, kill, rape, and maim American citizens. He chooses them over his own citizens.
Choosing them. That's what they do. It's all political posturing. Border officials are escalating the rhetoric against Minneapolis leadership while new medical evidence supports the federal response. ICE agent rammed suffered internal bleeding in his torso because he was indeed struck hard. You heard him scream on that The confirmed internal injuries validate federal claims, of critics are expanding their attacks beyond the single incident. Rapid response. Steve says, Americans oppose mass Somali fraud. Americans are by overwhelming majorities just oppose Somali refugee resettlement in principle. Minnesota was once a pristine state. Perfect education, no crime, no unrest. What do they call it? This? The land of 1,000 lakes? Now it's the land of a million fraudsters. Secretary Noem slamming the mainstream media.
Because if you look at a lot of news with weapons. Because if you look at the mainstream press, they're helping them. They're misportraying the situation on the ground. We had an officer last night viciously attacked with weapons, 3-on-1, where his life was in danger, and he defended himself. And you see a lot of news reports out there that it was another ICE shooting. They didn't report anything about the weapons or the fact that these individuals came out of a home to beat him mercilessly with a shovel, and that he had to protect his own life and his colleagues that were soon coming to back him up. So absolutely, I think that this is a distraction for him. We're not going to let that happen. We're going to continue to talk about the fraud and the stealing from the American taxpayers that he has allowed to have happen in Minneapolis. It is the largest fraudulent scheme in American history, we believe. It's in Minnesota. We're going to get to the bottom of it and bring people to justice, even the elected officials that allowed it to happen.
The elected officials behind it. It's all, again, you have Jacob Frey, you've got Walls, you've got Ilhan Omar. They're protecting the racket. Secretary Noem's defense comes as she reveals the administration is considering the most extreme federal intervention possible. Here she is at the sticks.
No plans to pull out of Minnesota.
Do you have any plans to pull out of Minnesota?
No plans to pull out of Minnesota.
How would you describe what you were seeing on the ground there? Would you describe it as an insurrection? And do you believe the president should invoke the Insurrection Act?
I describe it as violent and a violation of the law in many places. I discussed with the president this morning several things that we are dealing with under the department and different operations. We did discuss the Insurrection Act. He certainly has the constitutional authority to utilize that. My hope is that this leadership team in Minnesota will start to work with us to get criminals off the streets.
Well, that's all. That's what it's about. The Insurrection Act discussion shows how serious this has become, with state Republicans now breaking ranks with their governor. Minnesota House Floor Leader Larry Niska says Governor Tim Walz's extreme and reckless rhetoric makes everyone feel less safe, fans the flame of hate and division, and emboldens Minnesotans to interfere with and attack law enforcement. We must speak thoughtfully. ICE is going directly after Mayor Frey with strategic comparison that highlights the political divide. Mayor Frey, they write, U.S. Customs Enforcement. Why isn't there chaos when we do operations in states like Texas, Louisiana, and Florida? It's because those states and localities work with ICE to take criminal, illegal, alien, rapist, murderers off the street. This guy.
Meanwhile, we have ICE agents throughout our city and throughout our state who, along with Border Control, are creating chaos.
The only people who are creating chaos is this guy right there. Jim Jordan links to the evidence in his tweet. It's about to reshape the entire narrative completely.
And joining me now is the House Judiciary Committee Chair. That will be Jim Jordan. Governor Walz urging people to take pictures of agents so they can be prosecuted, Congressman. Wow. Are you okay with that? I don't believe you're okay with that. That's a terrible thing.
No, think what the ICE officers have had to endure over the last several months, trying to do their job, trying to enforce federal law. They've been doxxed, they've been tracked, they've been harassed, they got pictures taken of them. In some cases, they've been attacked with a shovel, for goodness sake. So that's the environment they're in. And what is the Democrats' response? What is the left's response? Oh, let's impeach the Secretary of Homeland Security. That makes no sense. That is just, again, shows how crazy I think today's left is. So, yeah, I feel for these ICE agents. I think most Americans do, trying to do their work, trying to do their job, trying to enforce the law. in that environment, that is difficult. So maybe the mayor, at least the mayor said, stop the craziness, the rioting that's going on. I get that. That's a start after all the crazy things he said and Governor Walz has said. But yeah, this environment that they're in is so difficult.
It sure is. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem joined America's Newsroom in the last hour. Listen to what she said about the president threatening the Insurrection Act. Watch this.
That certainly is within the president's constitutional authority to use that if he thinks he needs to keep people safe. What I love about this president is the very first question that he asks me is, how are you doing and how are our people doing in this country? How are the people doing and our law enforcement officers? What can we do to keep them safe, but to also make sure we're bringing dangerous criminals to justice?
If the president invokes the Insurrection Act, what does that mean? How does that follow through in practice? And are you okay with it?
Yeah, again, this is the president making sure, as the secretary indicated, making sure that people are safe, that communities are safe, that law enforcement can do their job, not have to have shovels and, people with shovels and broomsticks attacking them. I mean, that's the president's focus. I mean, I think what the president did here in D.C. when he brought in National Guard here in D.C., think how crime went down. Everyone felt safer. So the president is, I think, rightly so, focused on reducing crime, reducing violence, and providing a safe environment. I just think the Democrats' response is so. Remember, it was okay for the Biden administration and Secretary Mayorkas to allow 8 million people to just flood into our country. That was fine. But if you enforce the law, it's okay to dox, harass, attack ICE agents who are doing their job and try to impeach the Secretary of Homeland Security. That again, makes absolutely no sense, I think, to most Americans who have good common sense.
I want to get back to this concept of impeachment. Dozens of your Democrat colleagues are calling to impeach Secretary Noem. Watch this.
Yeah.
We will not stop fighting until we achieve real justice and accountability. That must begin with impeaching Kristi Noem and ensuring no federal agent can act as a judge, jury, and executioner on our streets.
You are terrible at doing your job. You are incompetent. You are shameless. But most of all, you are cruel. The American people do not want you.
Congressman, it seems to me that Ilhan Omar is using this, Minneapolis, as a way of detracting from and distracting from the problems that they're having in Minneapolis with the Somali fraud. It's a distraction. They're using it.
Yeah. And I always remember the context here. We had an election a little over a year ago, and President Trump, the key issue in this election was, securing the border and dealing with people who are here illegally doing bad things. President Trump got the border secured in 4 months with the help of Secretary Noem. So that is the environment, and they're saying, for doing what you said you were going to do, securing the border in record time, stopping this influx of millions of people that was happening under the Biden administration, for doing that, your reward is we're going to try to impeach you? Again, it makes absolutely no sense, but I think you're right. The people in Minneapolis and in Minnesota are trying to distract from the 10, 12-year, in some cases 15-year fraud scams that were going on, where they said they were feeding kids, giving meals to children, when in fact they weren't. They were just sticking money in their pocket and a host of other things. So I think that's exactly what's going on.
There is there's some polling that shows that the public in general is not happy with the way ICE is conducting raids. I think it's 57% don't approve of the way they're going about doing their business. But after seeing that kind of video from last night, that's a pitched battle, and they're stealing weapons out of police cars. I can't believe that public opinion won't swing towards the GOP and President Trump and ICE. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And look, we'd prefer that ICE agents didn't have masks on, didn't have to do that. But in this context, in this environment, in the framework that the left has established, where you're doxing, tracking, harassing, taking pictures of, screaming, yelling, in some cases rioting, attacking with shovels.
Yeah, it's going on. Media coverage is being dissected in real time. Blue states are launching their own coordinated resistance campaign. Last night, anti-ICE protesters in Minnesota spiraled into vandalism and chaos. CNN brought on Democrat State Senator Bobby Joe Champion, who shrugged off potential weapons being used in the assault.
If there were neighbors and others who came out to help this person, that is just an example of Minnesota being a place where we help our neighbors. And we are clear that the ICE agents have been coming here, and there's over 2,000 of them. And they've been attacking and terrorizing our state. So yes, neighbors will come out and be helpful. I'm not certain if they had brooms or a shovel. That is to be further investigated.
If they did, in fact, have some sort of weapons to use to attack the ICE officer, would that change your opinion of whatever unfolded next?
Actually, no, right? Because from our vantage point, we wanted to make sure and always wanted to make sure that Minnesotans are being dealt with properly. And when we think in terms of any pursuit or any apprehension of anyone, there's a way for you to do your work where it's respectful and it's fair. We unfortunately have seen ICE not be respectful, not be fair, but to be illegal and to attack and to be very aggressive with Minnesotans. And to see that the federal government has made a decision to attack and send more and more agents here and allow them to be, allow them to misbehave, we think that's a tragedy and a travesty.
Yeah, keep trying, dude. Keep trying. There's no amount of rhetoric that you can spill anywhere that's going to have a lick of difference, because the American people see right through it. We see right through it. New Jersey legislature passes radical bill banning ICE from enforcing federal immigration law. Prohibits stops based on status, blocks access to jail, restricts data sharing with the feds. This suspect's name, weapons are released as critics focus on different aspects of the cultural implications. Let's see what's going on here. ICE releases identities of 3 men involved in the ICE-involved shooting last night in Minneapolis. From high school walkouts to private phone calls between federal state officials, this is escalating. Imagine showing this video to the Founding Fathers and telling them this is what the average high schooler in Minnesota looks like. Oh my goodness. I don't even want to look. Unbelievable. That's the state of the country. That's the state of the high school. You see these videos, they're going to go viral all the time. They go viral all the time. Let's keep going. We got more. No one reveals she personally told Tim Walz in a private conversation with Tim Walz, while federal property destruction adds criminal charges to the mix. Let's see.
To him just a couple of days ago.
And what did he say when you told him to chill out?
I said, Tim and I served together in Congress. We both ran for governor at the same time. We have very different ways of governing. Our state in South Dakota was extremely successful and grew economically and safety. He drove it into the ditch. And it has been an absolute disaster. He let it burn down in 2020 and then asked surrounding governors to send our National Guard to help him because he waited too long to make any decisions to bring peace. I'm worried that he's doing the same thing.
I understand that history, but when you approached him on the phone and made your appeal, what did he say?
I said, sir, listen, Tim, you know the situation, what's going on. We are enforcing federal law. If you don't like the laws, go change them, but don't do it by giving place to these protesters and rioters that are perpetuating violence. And I said, you have my personal cell phone. You call me. If you need me, you call me. We will be there to help back you up, but protect your city, protect your state. And he paused for a few seconds, and he just said, yeah, okay. We have very different viewpoints of what's going on. I said, maybe we do, but we will be here if you need us, because that's our goal every day, is to keep people safe.
That's the goal. They just want to keep people safe, but they won't let them. Federal vehicles destroyed, property stolen, media personalities are making even more inflammatory comments. Peaceful protests do not result in destruction of federal vehicles and theft of federal property. The press secretary, Democrats like Walz, are using their platforms to encourage violence.
The president's Truth Social post spoke very loud and clear to Democrats.
Oops.
The president's Truth Social post spoke very loud and clear to Democrats across this country, elected officials who are using their platforms to encourage violence against federal law enforcement officers, who are encouraging left-wing agitators to unlawfully obstruct legitimate law enforcement operations. And if you talk to any law enforcement officer, no matter what level they work at, they want to be working with their counterparts, whether that's at the federal level or the federal authorities wanting to work with their counterparts at the state and local level. And it's truly shameful that now for more than a year, you've had elected Democrat governors and mayors who have basically held their state and local law enforcement hostage and told them, you cannot cooperate with federal law enforcement. Why? They cooperated under the Biden administration. It's because these Democrats are deranged in their hatred for President Trump, and they are holding their state and local law enforcement hostage as a result. And these Democrat mayors and governors are doing this over what? Over the lawful and legitimate law enforcement operations to remove violent criminals from the streets of Minnesota, from the streets of California, from the streets of New York, and from the streets of every state across this country. And you don't see these riots and this vandalism taking place in states like Florida. Why? Because you have a governor in that state who has empowered federal and local authorities to work together. And it's despicable what we're seeing from these Democrat politicians, especially in sanctuary states and cities across the country.
Oh, she wasn't done, though. She was not done. She's got more. Our cameras were rolling. Here she is laying out the facts.
To your first point, I think I've addressed that these Democrat governors and mayors in not just Minnesota, but in states across the country are essentially, they've referred to ICE agents who, again, are brave men and women. And I would encourage everyone in this room, and I would encourage Governor Walz and other Democrats who are demeaning law enforcement to sit down and have a cup of coffee with an ICE agent or a Border Patrol agent. These are great, patriotic men and women who have families, who put on the uniform every day and are following our nation's immigration laws at the direction of their bosses and again, at the direction of the law. They are simply trying to enforce the law. And the Democrat Party has demeaned these individuals. They've even referred to them as Nazis and as the Gestapo. And that is absolutely leading to the violence we're seeing in the streets. If you look at some of the images out of Minneapolis last night, look at this vehicle. Look at what it says. It says F ICE. You have these individuals who are putting their middle finger, proudly so, at the camera. Another ICE vehicle that was vandalized last night by these left-wing agitators. People don't do this without encouragement from people in power who make them feel like it's okay. Here's another one. And I'm pretty sure this car, you can't see it, said the best agent is a dead agent or something to that effect. This is despicable rhetoric that we're seeing, and the media is absolutely complicit in this violence, because if you look at the headline from CNN, protests erupt after federal agent shoots man in Minneapolis, that is not the story, that is not the truth. If you actually want to know the truth, you can look at what the Department of Homeland Security released, which is that this ICE agent was executing a targeted operation against a Venezuelan illegal alien who was unlawfully present in the country, who fled by car and then fled by foot. And when this ICE agent tried to detain the individual, 3 more of his comrades came rushing out of a house and started ambushing and attacking the ICE agent. They used a shovel or a broom to smash his face in. And so yes, that agent had to use self-defense and take up his weapon to protect his own life. That is what's happening on the streets of Minneapolis. That's what's happening on the streets, unfortunately, of these Democrat-run cities and states where you have elected officials who are encouraging such violence against our brave men and women in law enforcement.
Caroline Levitt, always on fire. And the press secretary's response to the media bias caps off the administration's defense, but Tim Walz is making his own appeal, apparently. All 3 of the illegal aliens involved in last night's attack let in the country by the Biden administration. Walz directs appeal to Washington gets immediate response while most serious criminal allegations emerge on the scene. Here it is, the press secretary nuking a fake news reporter. Wait till you see this.
Earlier, you were just
buckle up. Buckle up. Oh, yeah, she knows
defending
what's going on.
ICE agents generally. And earlier on, Secretary Noem spoke to the media, and she said, among other things, that they are doing everything correctly. 32 people died in ICE custody last year. 170 U.S. citizens were detained by ICE, and Renee Good was shot in the head and killed by an ICE agent. How does that equate to them doing everything correctly?
Why was Renee Good unfortunately and tragically killed?
Now, if you heard a little accent in his voice. You heard that? Foreign press in our house. Oh yeah, he's about to get nuked.
Are you asking me my opinion? Because an ICE agent acted recklessly and killed it unjustifiably.
Oh, okay. So you're a biased reporter with a left-wing opinion.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're a left-wing hack. You're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist, and it's so clear by the premise of your question. And you and the people in the media who have such biases but fake like you're a journalist, you shouldn't even be sitting in that seat. But you're pretending like you're a journalist, but you're a left-wing activist. And the question that you just raised and your answer proves your bias. You should be reporting on the facts. You should be reporting on the cases. Do you have the numbers of how many American citizens were killed at the hands of illegal aliens who ICE is trying to remove from this country? I bet you don't. I bet you didn't even read up on those stories. I bet you never even read about Laken Riley or Jocelyn Nungray or all of the innocent Americans who were killed at the hands of illegal aliens in this country. And the brave men and women of ICE are doing everything in their power to remove those heinous individuals and make our communities safer. And shame on people like you in the media who have a crooked view and have a biased view and pretend like you're a real honest journalist.
Look at his face. Oh, the face he makes.
Earlier, you were just defending ICE agents.
She's berating him.
ICE is trying to remove from this country? I bet you don't.
Just look at his
I bet
face.
you didn't even read up on those stories. I bet you never even read about Laken Riley or Jocelyn Nungray or all of the innocent Americans who were killed at the hands of illegal aliens in this country. And the brave men and women of ICE are doing everything in their power to remove those heinous individuals and make our communities safer. And shame on people like you in the media who have a crooked view and have a biased view and pretend like you're a real honest journalist.
Oh, yeah, he's queuing it up. Getting ready to punch back, but no, you can't punch back against Caroline Leavitt. Here's the White House responding to Tim Walz's direct appeal.
The White House is now responding. Tim Walz, Jacob Frey, and Democrat leaders in Minnesota have done nothing but turn up the temperature, smear heroic ICE officers, and incite violence against them, all in the defense of criminal illegal aliens. In Minnesota, ICE has arrested rapists, drug traffickers, domestic abusers, and more, despite the Democratic opposition. The Trump administration will protect the American people and enforce the law without apology. Quick response, a lot to say. Your reaction. First reaction here on the Faulkner Focus, Clay Travis.
They're 100% right. And Harris, you remember this. In 2020, when we demonized police, what happened? Murder skyrocketed across the entire country, and we didn't let good law enforcement officers do their job. Now Minnesota, Frey, Walz, they are deciding to demonize ICE officers. They're making them targets, and they are going to increase the overall level of violence in this country. I think President Trump has to step up aggressively, say we're not going to do this. Remember what happened in L.A.? He sent in all the forces, and everything stopped in L.A. We got to do it in Minneapolis, too. It's out of control.
Not out of control for long, because when the Insurrection Act is called in, all bets are off. Anti-ICE protesters stealing weapons. FBI officials search for those responsible. Kash Patel confirming today that they do have one person in custody. I have not seen this yet, but crazy. Oh my goodness. There's literally... Oh, wow. Oh my God. Oh my God.
It's some bullets. Hey, that's what he said. I don't know.
They are stripping the FBI vehicle of everything. And they're recording it. They don't even care.
No way. Tourniquet there.
Unreal.
Okay. Hey, don't film that. Who's out running? You guys both What's up? No faces. No. Oh, shit.
Anti-ICE protesters. Completely stripping. Completely stripping. I've never seen anything quite like it. A weapons locker in a federal vehicle. The FBI is still searching for those responsible. One person apparently in custody still. These people have no shame at all. So let me get this straight. ICE agents are being shot at while trying to arrest Venezuelan criminals that the previous administration let in. Protesters stealing federal weapons and Democrat governors are actively making law enforcement officers targets. Does this look like a protest? No. That's a crime scene. It's an armed resistance to immigration enforcement, and it's happening in your backyard. So here's a reality check. When protesters start stealing weapons from federal agents, we've moved beyond political disagreement into something much darker. ICE is trying to arrest rapists and drug dealers while Democrat politicians actively obstruct them and make officers targets for violence. Meanwhile, armed rioters are loose with stolen federal weapons. The question isn't whether this will escalate, it's how far that it will go before someone else gets killed. Do you think Democrat governors should be held responsible when their anti-ICE rhetoric leads to violence against federal agents? Let me know in the comments. While you're there, check out the Next News merch shop. All right, I'm going to check in on our super chats right now. Wow, you guys are awesome. Wow. Do you hashtag is just on a roll. If you're sworn to protect the asset, it doesn't matter who that asset is, even if you politically disagree with them. You give your life for the United States. Do you hashtag again $2? Every dollar in fraud, plus $1 in tax refunds. Bill's Rules $4.99. Keep sending the truth to us, NNN, and we will. Bill's Rules. Tampon Tim suffers from toxic shock syndrome. Small mouse, big field. I like that. That's cute. $2. Gary, how are you doing? I'm doing just fine. Do you hashtag again $5? President Trump, if you're listening, of course he is. He watches the show every night. What do you think he's doing? He's on Truth Social and he's watching the Next News Network. Trust me. President Trump, if you're listening, call veterans using the presidential alert in cell phones to the front line that is in our country. Enemy is here. Huh. Mr. President, you hear that? Do your hashtag is back again for another $2. If America falls, the clock will strike midnight. Wow. Brian, I just want to double check and confirm you got that last message regarding, I see you confirmed it, but I just want to make sure. I think I guess you could probably just let it run to ours. I'm just worried about, a misclick or something. I mean, what do you do? You just click those things at the top there and then just turn off one by one? Okay. Well, that makes sense then. Just let ours keep rolling. All right. All right. So, you know what? I'm going to tie this all together for you, because what we witnessed today is not just news. It is a complete exposure of how the establishment operates when their power is threatened. Now, we started with the Clintons flat out defying congressional subpoenas in the Epstein investigation. Now, think about the audacity. These are the same people who lecture us about democracy and accountability, yet when Congress demands answers about their connections to a convicted trafficker, they simply say no. The arrogance is breathtaking, but it tells you everything about how untouchable they believe themselves to be. Meanwhile, President Trump is revolutionizing healthcare by cutting out the middlemen and putting money directly into your pockets. Instead of enriching insurance companies and bureaucrats, Americans get to choose their own care with government funds. It's brilliant in its simplicity and terrifying to the corporate interests who've been feeding off your suffering for decades. Then we expose how the deep state operates within the Secret Service itself. A Biden holdover, and Vance's detail, caught sharing classified security information with what he thought was a romantic interest. Now, this was not pillow talk. This was potentially deadly intelligence about the vice president's movements and protection details. The security state is compromised from within. Then our investigation into immigration fraud revealed entire networks of fake companies operating out of suburban homes, gaming the H-1B system while Americans struggle to find work. 50 people making six-figure salaries through a company registered to a single-family house in Texas. This is systematic fraud on an industrial scale, and it's happening everywhere. And in Minneapolis, we watch anti-ICE rioters literally steal weapons from federal vehicles. They forced open a weapons locker and made off with rifles and ammunition. This is what happens when local leaders like Tim Walz create sanctuary policies that embolden criminals to attack federal law enforcement. Now, earlier I reminded you about the anniversary of the Samuel Chase impeachment trial in 1805. The last time a Supreme Court justice faced removal, Chase was targeted for his political views, but he survived because truth prevailed over partisan warfare. Today's events prove we're fighting the same battle against those who weaponize institutions for political gain. See, the pattern is undeniable. Establishment elites breaking laws while ordinary Americans face consequences for far less. The system is rigged, but Trump's return is exposing every corrupt corner of it. Now, before we go, grab your gear at the Next News Network shop. Show your support for us here. We work our asses off for you. Massive thanks to the Super Chat contributors, everyone dropping Rumble rants. You guys make this show possible, and you guys add the flavor. You really do. Remember, folks, the truth is winning. The establishment knows it. And they're desperate, but we are not backing down. I'm Gary Franchi. This has been the Raw Feed. Stay free.